Let me ask you this. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and felt proud of what you saw? Not just your appearance, but what you saw behind your eyes. When was the last time you felt that fire burning inside you? That sense of purpose and power that makes you feel truly alive. If you are like most people, it has been a while, maybe a long while. And that breaks my heart because I know what you are capable of. I know the potential that lives inside you. I know the lion that is waiting to be awakened. You see, most people have forgotten who they really are. They have spent so many years being told to fit in, to follow the rules, to not make waves, that they have buried their true nature under layers of fear and self-doubt. They have convinced themselves that they are meant to live ordinary lives, to accept whatever scraps life throws their way, to be grateful for mediocrity. But that is not who you are. That is not who any of us are. We were born to be lions, not sheep. We were born to lead, not follow. We were born to create our own destiny, not accept whatever destiny someone else has planned for us. I learned this lesson the hard way. For years I lived like everyone else. I went to work, I paid my bills, I did what was expected of me, I was a good employee, a responsible citizen, a reliable person, but inside I was dying. I felt like I was sleepwalking through my own life. I felt like I was watching my dreams slip away day by day, year by year. Then one day something happened that changed everything. I was at a business meeting, sitting around a conference table with a bunch of other people, listening to my boss talk about quarterly projections and market share. And suddenly I had this moment of absolute clarity. I realized that I was not living my life. I was living someone else's idea of what my life should be. That night, I went home and looked at myself in the mirror. Really looked, and what I saw shocked me. I saw a man who had given up on his dreams. I saw a man who had settled for less than he deserved. I saw a man who had forgotten that he was born to be a king, not a servant. Right then and there, I made a decision that would change the course of my entire life. I decided that I was done living like a sheep. I decided that I was going to wake up the lion inside me, no matter what it took. I decided that I was going to start living on my own terms, pursuing my own dreams, creating my own destiny. That decision was not easy. It meant walking away from security. It meant facing my fears. It meant disappointing some people who wanted me to stay small and safe. But it was the best decision I ever made because it gave me back my life. The tragedy is that most people never make that decision. They spend their entire lives living below their potential, accepting less than they deserve, wondering what might have been. They look at successful people and think, they must be lucky, or they must have connections, or they must be smarter than me. But that is not true. Successful people are not different from you. They just think differently than you. Successful people think like lions. They take responsibility for their lives. They refuse to make excuses. They do not wait for permission to pursue their dreams. They do not let fear or doubt or the opinions of others stop them from going after what they want. I want to tell you about a woman I met named Sarah. When I first met her, she was working as a waitress in a small diner. She had been there for 8 years, making just enough money to pay her bills and support her 2 children. She was tired, she was frustrated, and she was convinced that her life would never get any better. But Sarah had something that most people do not have. She had a dream. She wanted to open her own restaurant. She had been thinking about it for years, but she always found reasons why it was impossible. She did not have enough money. She did not have enough experience. She did not have the right connections. She was too old. She was too young. The list of excuses was endless. One day, Sarah came to one of my seminars. During the break, she told me about her dream and all the reasons why she could not pursue it. I listened patiently, and then I said something that changed her life. I said, Sarah, you are absolutely right. You cannot pursue your dream. Not as long as you keep thinking like a sheep. That got her attention. I continued, you are looking at all the reasons why you cannot succeed instead of looking for ways that you can succeed. You are thinking like prey instead of thinking like a predator. You are waiting for someone to give you permission to pursue your dream instead of giving yourself permission. Sarah left that seminar with a completely different mindset. She stopped making excuses and started making plans. She stopped focusing on obstacles and started focusing on opportunities. She stopped thinking like a victim and started thinking like a victor. Within 6 months, Sarah had saved enough money to put a down payment on a small restaurant space. Within 2 years, her restaurant was so successful that she was able to open a second location. Today, she owns 4 restaurants and employs over 60 people. What changed? Not her circumstances, not her education, not her background. What changed was her mindset. She stopped thinking like a sheep and started thinking like a lion. The difference between sheep and lions is not ability, it is mentality. Sheep wait for things to happen to them. Lions make things happen. Sheep follow the crowd. Lions lead the pack. Sheep accept whatever pasture they are put in. Lions claim their territory and defend it. Most people are living like sheep because they have been conditioned to think small. From the time we are children, we are told to be realistic, to lower our expectations, to not get our hopes up. We are told that success is for other people, that we should be grateful for what we have, that we should not rock the boat. But that conditioning is killing your potential. It is keeping you trapped in a life that is far smaller than what you are capable of living. It is robbing you of the joy and satisfaction that comes from pursuing your dreams and achieving your goals. The cost of thinking like a sheep is enormous. It is not just about money, although financial struggle is often a symptom. It is about your self-respect. It is about your sense of purpose. It is about the example you are setting for your children and the legacy you are leaving behind. When you settle for less than you are capable of, you are not just hurting yourself. You are hurting everyone who depends on you. You are depriving the world of your unique gifts and talents. You are failing to live up to the potential that was placed inside you. But here is the good news. You can change your thinking. You can change your mindset. You can wake up the lion that has been sleeping inside you. You can start living the life you were meant to live. But it starts with a decision. It starts with looking in the mirror and saying, I am done living like a sheep. I am ready to live like a lion. That decision will not be popular with everyone. Some people in your life want you to stay small because your smallness makes them feel better about their own lack of ambition. Some people will try to talk you out of your dreams because they gave up on their own dreams, and misery loves company. But you cannot let other people's fears and limitations become your fears and limitations. You cannot let other people's lack of vision become your lack of vision. You have to trust yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to be willing to stand alone if necessary. The lion mindset is not about being aggressive or cruel or stepping on other people to get what you want. It is about being strong, confident, and determined. It is about taking responsibility for your life and refusing to make excuses. It is about setting high standards for yourself and refusing to accept anything less. So I am going to ask you one more time, are you ready to stop living like a sheep? Are you ready to wake up the lion inside you? Are you ready to take control of your life and start living on your own terms? Because the choice is yours and the time is now. You know what fascinates me about lions in the wild? They never doubt themselves. You will never see a lion standing at the edge of the savannah wondering if he is strong enough to hunt or if he deserves to eat or if he should ask permission from the gazelles before he goes after what he needs. A lion knows exactly who he is and what he is capable of. But most people have forgotten this basic truth about themselves. They have forgotten that they are predators, not prey. They have forgotten that they are hunters, not gatherers waiting for scraps. They have spent so many years apologizing for their ambitions, making themselves smaller to fit in, that they have lost touch with their natural power. Let me tell you what I learned from studying lions both in nature and in business. A lion operates from a place of complete certainty about his place in the world. He does not second-guess himself. He does not look around for approval. He does not wait for the perfect moment. When he sees an opportunity, he acts. When he needs something, he goes after it. When his territory is threatened, he defends it. This is exactly how successful people think. They operate from a place of inner certainty. They know who they are, they know what they want, and they know they have every right to go after it. They do not waste time seeking approval or waiting for someone else to validate their dream. I remember meeting a young man named David who was working in a furniture store. He had been there for 3 years, making barely enough money to survive, but he had this burning desire to start his own business. The problem was, he kept waiting for someone to tell him it was okay. He kept waiting for his boss to give him permission to leave. He kept waiting for his family to support his decision. He kept waiting for the perfect plan to fall into his lap. I told David something that changed his perspective completely. I said, "You are thinking like prey. You are looking around for predators, waiting for someone to attack your dream, instead of thinking like a predator yourself." A lion does not ask the antelope for permission to hunt. A lion does not wait for the perfect weather to go after what he needs. A lion sees what he wants and he takes action. 6 months later, David had quit his job and started his own furniture restoration business. Today, he owns one of the most successful furniture stores in his city. What changed? He stopped thinking like prey and started thinking like a predator. Now, when I say predator, I do not mean someone who hurts other people or takes advantage of others. I mean someone who actively pursues what they want instead of passively waiting for it to come to them. I mean someone who takes initiative instead of waiting for instructions. I mean someone who creates opportunities instead of waiting for opportunities to find them. The lion mindset is built on 3 fundamental characteristics that separate lions from every other animal in the jungle. First, lions have absolute courage in the face of uncertainty. Second, lions have unshakable confidence in their abilities. Third, lions take complete ownership of their territory and their results. But let us talk about courage first. Most people think courage means not being afraid. That is not true. Courage means being afraid and taking action anyway. A lion feels fear just like any other animal. The difference is, a lion does not let fear stop him from doing what needs to be done. I learned this lesson early in my career when I was terrified of public speaking. The thought of standing in front of a group of people and sharing my ideas made me physically sick. But I knew that if I wanted to build the kind of business I dreamed of, I had to overcome this fear. So I made a decision. I decided that my dreams were bigger than my fears. I started speaking at small groups, even though my hands shook and my voice trembled. I spoke at community centers, at church groups, at local business meetings. Every time was terrifying, but every time I did it anyway. And you know what happened? The fear started to diminish, my confidence started to grow, and eventually speaking became one of my greatest strengths. That is how courage works. You do not wait until you feel brave to take action. You take action in spite of your fear, and the bravery comes as a result of the action. Lions understand this instinctively. They feel the fear, they acknowledge it, and then they move forward anyway. The second characteristic of the lion mindset is confidence, but not the kind of false confidence that comes from arrogance or ego. I am talking about the quiet, unshakable confidence that comes from knowing you have done the work, you have prepared yourself, and you are ready for whatever challenges come your way. A lion does not have to prove to anyone that he is strong. His strength speaks for itself. A lion does not have to convince anyone that he is capable. His results demonstrate his capability. A lion does not have to argue for his worth. His worth is evident in everything he does. This kind of confidence cannot be faked. It cannot be borrowed from someone else. It can only be built through consistent action, through keeping promises to yourself, through doing what you say you are going to do when you say you are going to do it. Every time you follow through on a commitment to yourself, you build confidence. Every time you do something that scares you, you build confidence. I want to share with you a story about a woman named Margaret who understood this principle better than anyone I have ever met. Margaret was a single mother working 2 jobs to support her 3 children. She had no college education, no savings, no connections. By most people's standards, she had every excuse in the world to give up on her dreams. But Margaret had something more valuable than money or connections. She had absolute confidence in her ability to figure things out. She had confidence in her work ethic. She had confidence in her determination. She knew that if she could just get one opportunity, one chance to prove herself, she could build something extraordinary. Margaret started a small cleaning service with nothing but a bucket, some supplies, and an unshakable belief in herself. She did not wait until she had enough money for fancy equipment. She did not wait until she had a business plan. She did not wait until she felt ready. She just started. Within 2 years, Margaret's cleaning service had grown to employ 15 people. Within 5 years, she had contracts with some of the largest office buildings in her city. Today, she owns a multi-million-dollar facility management company. Her confidence was not based on her circumstances. Her confidence was based on her character, her work ethic, and her absolute refusal to give up. The third characteristic of the lion mindset is ownership. Lions take complete ownership of their territory and their results. They do not blame the weather when hunting is difficult. They do not blame other animals when prey is scarce. They do not make excuses when things do not go their way. They take full responsibility for their situation, and they do whatever it takes to improve it. This is perhaps the most important distinction between people who succeed and people who struggle. Successful people take ownership of everything in their lives. They take ownership of their results, their relationships, their health, their finances, their happiness. They understand that they are the common denominator in everything that happens to them. Unsuccessful people, on the other hand, spend most of their time and energy looking for someone or something to blame for their problems. They blame the economy, they blame their boss, they blame their spouse, they blame their upbringing, they blame the government. They spend so much time focused on what is wrong with everyone else that they never take the time to work on what is wrong with themselves. I used to be one of those people who blamed everyone else for my problems. I blamed my boss for not promoting me. I blamed my customers for not buying from me. I blamed the economy for my financial struggles. I blamed my circumstances for my lack of success. And you know what all that blaming got me? Absolutely nothing except more problems and more frustration. Everything changed when I met a mentor who taught me a simple but powerful principle. He said, "Jim, you can either take responsibility for your life or you can make excuses for your life, but you cannot do both. The choice is yours." That hit me like a punch in the stomach because I knew he was right. I had been spending so much energy making excuses that I had no energy left to actually improve my situation. I had been so focused on what was wrong with everyone else that I had completely neglected working on myself. From that day forward, I made a commitment to take complete ownership of my life. When something went wrong, instead of looking for someone to blame, I asked myself, what could I have done differently? When I did not get the results I wanted, instead of making excuses, I asked myself, what do I need to learn or change to get better results next time? That shift in thinking changed everything. When you take ownership of your problems, you also take ownership of your power to solve those problems. When you stop blaming other people for your situation, you reclaim your ability to change your situation. Lions understand this instinctively. They know that their survival and success depend entirely on their own actions and decisions. They do not wait for someone else to provide for them. They do not expect someone else to protect them. They do not rely on someone else to make them happy. They take complete responsibility for creating the life they want. But here's what most people miss about the lion mindset. Lions are not reckless. They are not impulsive. They do not just charge into situations without thinking. Lions are actually very strategic. They observe, they plan, they wait for the right moment. But when that moment comes, they act decisively and with complete commitment. This is another crucial aspect of developing a lion mindset. You need to learn to balance patience with action, preparation with execution, planning with spontaneity. You need to be smart about when to wait and when to move, when to be cautious and when to be bold. Too many people use planning as an excuse for not taking action. They spend years planning and preparing and getting ready to get ready, but they never actually do anything. They become professional planners instead of professional doers. Lions do not fall into this trap. They prepare, but they also act. They plan, but they also execute. The key is to understand that you will never have perfect information. You will never have complete certainty. You will never eliminate all risk. At some point, you have to make a decision and move forward based on the best information you have available. Lions understand this. They gather what information they can, they assess the situation as best they can, and then they act with confidence and commitment. This is why developing a lion mindset is so important. It gives you the courage to act in spite of uncertainty. It gives you the confidence to trust your abilities even when others doubt you. It gives you the strength to take ownership of your life and your results, regardless of your circumstances. But developing this mindset is not something that happens overnight. It is something you have to work on every single day. It is something you have to practice and develop and strengthen over time. Just like a lion builds his strength through daily hunting and fighting and surviving, you build your mental strength through daily challenges and decisions and actions. The question is not whether you have what it takes to develop a lion mindset. The question is whether you are willing to do what it takes. Are you willing to face your fears? Are you willing to take responsibility for your life? Are you willing to stop making excuses and start making progress? Because if you are, then everything I am about to share with you will show you exactly how to build the kind of character and discipline that will transform you from a sheep into a lion. Now that you understand what it means to think like a lion, let me tell you how to build the character of one. Because thinking is just the beginning. Lions are not made through wishful thinking or positive affirmations. Lions are forged through daily disciplines, through consistent actions, through the relentless pursuit of excellence in everything they do. I learned this lesson from a man who changed my life forever. His name was Earl Schoath, and he was the most disciplined person I had ever met. When I first met Earl, I was broke, I was confused, and I was making excuses for everything that was wrong with my life. Earl looked at me and said something I will never forget. He said, "Jim, you are where you are because of who you are. If you want to change where you are, you have to change who you are." That statement shook me to my core because I realized he was absolutely right. I had been focusing on changing my circumstances instead of changing myself. I had been trying to fix what was outside instead of fixing what was inside. I had been looking for external solutions to internal problems. Earl taught me that success is not an event. Success is a process. Success is not something that happens to you. Success is something you become. And you become successful by developing the daily habits and disciplines that successful people practice consistently over time. Lions understand this principle better than any other animal in the jungle. A lion does not become the king of the jungle by accident. A lion becomes the king through daily practice, through constant preparation, through never-ending commitment to excellence. Every day, a lion sharpens his skills. Every day, a lion builds his strength. Every day, a lion prepares for the challenges that lie ahead. The first discipline you must develop is the discipline of clear thinking. Most people think in circles. They think about their problems more than they think about their solutions. They think about what they do not want more than they think about what they do want. They think about their fears more than they think about their dreams. Lions think differently. Lions think with clarity and purpose. When a lion sees prey, he does not think about all the ways the hunt could go wrong. He thinks about how to make the hunt successful. When a lion faces a challenge, he does not think about all the reasons he might fail. He thinks about how to overcome the challenge and win. You must train your mind to think like this. You must discipline yourself to focus on solutions instead of problems, on opportunities instead of obstacles, on what you can control instead of what you cannot control. This is not positive thinking. This is practical thinking. This is strategic thinking. This is the kind of thinking that produces results. I want to tell you about a man named Frank who mastered this discipline better than anyone I know. Frank was a construction worker who had been laid off from his job during a recession. For weeks, he sat around feeling sorry for himself, complaining about the economy, blaming everyone else for his situation. Then he came to one of my seminars and learned about the importance of clear thinking. Frank made a decision to stop thinking about his problems and start thinking about his possibilities. Instead of thinking about how hard it was to find work, he started thinking about how he could create work. Instead of thinking about what was wrong with the economy, he started thinking about what opportunities the economy might be creating. Frank realized that while construction jobs were scarce, there were thousands of homeowners who needed small repairs and improvements but could not afford to hire big construction companies. So Frank started a handyman service, working out of his pickup truck, charging reasonable rates for quality work. Within 6 months, Frank had more work than he could handle. Within 2 years, he had hired 3 employees and bought a warehouse. Today, Frank owns one of the most successful home improvement companies in his state. What changed? Not his skills, not his experience, not his circumstances. What changed was how he thought about his circumstances. The second discipline you must develop is the discipline of daily improvement. Lions do not get weaker with age until they get old and sick. Lions get stronger with age because they are constantly using their muscles, constantly sharpening their skills, constantly pushing themselves to be better than they were yesterday. Most people stop growing the day they graduate from school. They think learning is something you do when you are young, not something you do for the rest of your life. They think they already know everything they need to know to be successful. This is why most people never achieve anything significant. They stop growing, so they stop achieving. But lions never stop learning. Lions never stop improving. Lions never stop pushing themselves to be better. Every hunt teaches them something new. Every challenge makes them stronger. Every setback makes them smarter. You must commit to becoming a student for life. You must commit to reading books that challenge your thinking. You must commit to attending seminars that expand your knowledge. You must commit to learning new skills that increase your value. You must commit to growing every single day, even if it is just a little bit. I have been studying success for over 40 years. And I have read thousands of books, attended hundreds of seminars, and met with some of the most successful people in the world. And you know what I have learned? The most successful people are also the most committed learners. They are constantly reading, constantly studying, constantly looking for ways to improve themselves and their businesses. Warren Buffett reads for 8 hours a day. Bill Gates reads 50 books a year. Oprah Winfrey has said that reading is what saved her life and made her successful. These people did not stop learning when they became successful. They became successful because they never stopped learning. The third discipline you must develop is the discipline of taking massive action. Lions do not hesitate when they see an opportunity. They do not overthink. They do not analyze the situation to death. When they see what they want, they go after it with everything they have. Most people suffer from what I call analysis paralysis. They think and plan and research and prepare, but they never actually do anything. They are always getting ready to get ready, but they are never ready to start. They wait for the perfect plan, the perfect timing, the perfect circumstances, but perfect never comes. Lions understand that action beats intention every time. They understand that a good plan executed today is better than a perfect plan executed never. They understand that you can always adjust your course along the way, but you cannot adjust a course you never start. Let me share with you the story of a woman named Linda who understood this principle better than most. Linda had been working as a secretary for 15 years, dreaming of starting her own business, but never taking action. She had notebooks full of business ideas. She had attended workshops. She had read books, but she had never actually started anything. One day, Linda came to me and said, "Jim, I think I am ready to start my business." I asked her what she was waiting for, and she gave me a list of 20 things she thought she needed to do before she could start. I looked at her list and said, "Linda, you do not need to do all these things before you start. You need to start before you do all these things." I challenged Linda to start her business that week with whatever resources she had available. She was terrified, but she did it. She started a small consulting business from her kitchen table with nothing but a phone and a computer. She did not have a fancy office. She did not have expensive equipment. She did not have a detailed business plan. She just started. Within 1 year, Linda's business had grown so much that she was able to quit her job and work full-time for herself. Within 3 years, she had moved into a professional office and hired 2 employees. Today, she runs a multi-million-dollar consulting firm. What made the difference? She stopped planning and started doing. She stopped preparing and started performing. The fourth discipline you must develop is the discipline of persistence. Lions do not give up after one failed hunt. They do not quit when prey escapes. They do not stop trying when things get difficult. Lions understand that persistence is the price of success. Most people give up too soon. They try something for a few days or a few weeks, and when they do not see immediate results, they quit. They expect success to come easily and quickly, and when it does not, they assume they are not cut out for success. But success requires persistence. Success requires the ability to keep going when things get tough, to keep trying when others quit, to keep believing when others doubt. Success requires what I call lion-like determination. I learned this lesson early in my speaking career when I first started giving seminars. I was terrible. I was nervous. I was disorganized. I forgot what I wanted to say. After my first few speeches, I was so embarrassed that I wanted to quit. I thought maybe I was not meant to be a speaker. But I remembered what 𝐃𝐈𝐍𝐻 had taught me about persistence. He said, "Jim, success is not about being perfect. Success is about being persistent." Every master was once a beginner. Every expert was once an amateur. The only difference between those who succeed and those who fail is that those who succeed keep going when those who fail give up. So I kept speaking, I kept practicing, I kept improving. Every speech got a little better. Every audience taught me something new. Every mistake made me stronger, and eventually speaking became one of my greatest strengths and the foundation of my success. The fifth discipline you must develop is the discipline of high standards. Lions do not accept mediocrity from themselves or from their pride. Lions have standards, and they refuse to compromise those standards no matter what the circumstances. Most people have low standards. They accept good enough when they could have excellence. They settle for average when they could achieve extraordinary. They make excuses for poor performance instead of demanding better from themselves. But lions understand that your standards determine your results. If you have low standards, you will get low results. If you have high standards, you will get high results. If you accept mediocrity, that is what you will receive. If you demand excellence, that is what you will achieve. Your standards are not what you hope for or what you wish for. Your standards are what you refuse to accept anything less than. Your standards are the non-negotiable minimums in your life. Your standards are the line in the sand that you will not cross. I want you to think about the most successful person you know. I guarantee you that person has higher standards than average people. They expect more from themselves. They demand more from their work. They refuse to accept less than their best effort. Now think about the least successful person you know. I guarantee you that person has low standards. They accept poor performance from themselves. They make excuses for their lack of results. They settle for whatever they can get instead of going after what they really want. The difference between these two people is not talent or luck or background. The difference is standards. One has high standards and gets high results. The other has low standards and gets low results. So let me ask you this question. What are your standards? What do you refuse to accept anything less than? What are your non-negotiables? What is the minimum level of performance you demand from yourself? If you do not have clear answers to these questions, then you do not have standards. You have wishes and hopes and good intentions, but you do not have standards. And without standards, you will never develop the lion mindset that creates extraordinary results. Building lion character is not easy. It requires discipline. It requires commitment. It requires the willingness to do what others will not do, to sacrifice what others will not sacrifice, to persist when others quit. But here is what I can promise you. If you develop these 5 disciplines, if you practice them consistently, if you make them part of who you are, you will transform yourself from a sheep into a lion. You will become the kind of person who creates their own opportunities, who controls their own destiny, who lives life on their own terms. The question is not whether you can do it. The question is whether you will do it. Now, let me tell you about the most important concept you will ever learn: territory. Every lion understands this principle, and it is the foundation of their power and success. A lion knows exactly what belongs to him, and he will defend it with his life. But most people have never claimed their territory. They have never defined what is theirs. They let other people invade their space, control their time, influence their decisions, and dictate their direction. They live in other people's territory instead of creating their own. Your territory is not just physical space. Your territory is your time, your energy, your mind, your goals, your standards, your values. Your territory is everything that matters to you, everything that defines who you are and who you want to become. And if you do not claim it and defend it, someone else will take it from you. I learned this lesson from a man named Bill, who owned a small manufacturing company. When I met Bill, his business was struggling. His employees did not respect him, and his competitors were eating his lunch. Bill was a good man with good intentions, but he had never learned to protect his territory. Bill let his employees come to work late without consequences. He let his customers pay late without penalties. He let his competitors steal his ideas without fighting back. He let his family interrupt his work time whenever they wanted. Bill was trying to be nice to everyone, but in the process he was losing everything that mattered to him. I told Bill something that changed his entire approach to business and life. I said, Bill, you cannot be successful until you learn to draw boundaries. You cannot build a kingdom until you claim your territory. You cannot lead others until you learn to protect what is yours. Within 6 months, Bill had transformed his business. He established clear policies and enforced them consistently. He set boundaries with his customers and his employees. He protected his work time and his personal time. He stopped trying to please everyone and started focusing on results. Today, Bill's company is one of the most successful manufacturers in his industry. What changed? Bill learned to think like a lion. He learned to claim his territory and defend it. The first step in claiming your territory is defining what you want your life to look like. Most people have never done this. They drift through life without a clear vision, without specific goals, without a definite direction. They let circumstances dictate their path instead of creating their own path. Lions do not drift. Lions have a clear sense of what they want and where they are going. They know what they are hunting for. They know where they want to establish their territory, and they know what they are willing to fight for. You must get clear about what you want, not what other people want for you, not what society expects from you, not what seems realistic or practical. What you want, what excites you, what makes you come alive, what you would pursue even if you knew you might fail. The second step is taking control of your environment. Your environment includes the people you spend time with, the information you consume, the places you go, the activities you engage in. Your environment is constantly shaping who you become, and if you do not control it, it will control you. Lions are very careful about their environment. They choose territories that give them advantages. They associate with other strong lions. They avoid areas that put them at disadvantage. They understand that their environment either supports their success or undermines it. You must become just as intentional about your environment. You must surround yourself with people who support your dreams instead of people who discourage them. You must consume information that builds you up instead of information that tears you down. You must create spaces that inspire you to be your best instead of spaces that make you feel small. The third step is learning to say no. This is perhaps the most difficult skill for most people to develop, but it is absolutely essential if you want to protect your territory. Every time you say yes to something that does not serve your goals, you are saying no to something that does. Lions are masters at saying no. They do not chase every opportunity. They do not respond to every distraction. They focus on what matters most and ignore everything else. This is why lions are so effective. They concentrate their energy instead of scattering it. You must learn to say no to good opportunities so you can say yes to great opportunities. You must say no to people who waste your time so you can spend time with people who add value to your life. You must say no to activities that drain your energy so you can focus on activities that energize you. The fourth step is becoming the leader of your own life. Too many people are followers in their own lives. They let other people make their decisions, set their priorities, choose their direction. They abdicate their leadership role and then wonder why their life is not going the way they want. Lions are always leaders. Even when they are alone, they lead themselves. They make their own decisions. They set their own standards. They choose their own path. They understand that leadership is not about controlling others. Leadership is about controlling yourself. You must take back the leadership role in your own life. You must start making decisions based on your values instead of other people's opinions. You must start setting your own agenda instead of following someone else's agenda. You must start living your life instead of letting your life live you. When you claim your territory and defend it like a lion, everything changes. You stop being a victim of circumstances and start being the creator of circumstances. You stop reacting to life and start directing life. You stop following and start leading. This is your territory. Claim it, defend it, rule it like the lion you were born to be. Let me tell you what happens when you fully embrace the lion mindset. You do not just change your circumstances. You change who you are at your core. You become the kind of person who others look to for strength, for guidance, for inspiration. You become a king in your own kingdom, and that kingdom extends far beyond yourself. But here is what most people do not understand about being a lion. With great power comes great responsibility. When you develop true strength, you have an obligation to use that strength, not just for yourself, but for others who are still struggling to find their way. A real lion does not just dominate, a real lion protects. A real lion leads by example. A real lion creates a legacy that extends far beyond his own lifetime. And that is exactly what you must do when you fully step into your power. I learned this lesson from watching my mentor, 𝐿 𝐍. Earl had built multiple successful businesses. He had accumulated wealth and influence. He could have spent his time enjoying his success, playing golf, traveling the world. But Earl understood something that most successful people miss. He understood that true fulfillment comes not from what you accumulate, but from what you contribute. Earl spent his later years teaching and mentoring young people like me. He shared his knowledge freely. He opened doors for others. He used his success as a platform to lift others up. And in doing so, he created a legacy that is still impacting lives today, decades after his death. This is what it means to live like the king you truly are. It means using your strength to serve others. It means using your success to create opportunities for people who are where you used to be. It means becoming a leader who empowers others instead of diminishing them. But before you can lead others, you must master the art of leading yourself through difficult times. Because let me tell you something. Developing a lion mindset does not make you immune to challenges. In fact, lions face more challenges than sheep because lions take bigger risks, pursue bigger goals, and take on bigger responsibilities. The difference is how lions respond to adversity. When a sheep faces a problem, it panics. When a lion faces a problem, it gets strategic. When a sheep encounters an obstacle, it gives up. When a lion encounters an obstacle, it finds a way around, over, or through it. So I want to share with you how to maintain your lion mindset when life hits you hard, because it will hit you hard. Success is not about avoiding problems. Success is about becoming the kind of person who can handle bigger and bigger problems with grace and strength. First, remember that every setback is a setup for a comeback. Lions do not view failure as the end of the story. They view failure as information. They view obstacles as training. They view challenges as opportunities to prove their strength and develop their character. When my business failed early in my career, I could have given up. I could have decided that success was not for me. I could have gone back to playing it safe and accepting mediocrity. But instead, I chose to view that failure as tuition in the university of life. I chose to learn from my mistakes instead of being defeated by them. That failure taught me lessons I never could have learned any other way. It taught me the importance of managing cash flow. It taught me how to read people better. It taught me the value of persistence and resilience. Most importantly, it taught me that I could survive anything if I refused to give up. Second, surround yourself with other lions. One of the biggest mistakes people make when they start developing a lion mindset is trying to do it alone. But even lions live in prides. Even the strongest lions understand the power of community and support. You need people in your life who believe in your vision when you start to doubt it yourself. You need people who will challenge you to stay true to your standards when you are tempted to compromise. You need people who will remind you of your strength when circumstances make you feel weak. Find mentors who have already achieved what you want to achieve. Find peers who are on the same journey you are on. Find people you can mentor who will keep you grounded and remind you where you came from. Build a pride of lions around you and help others build theirs around them. Third, never forget that your greatest responsibility is to become an example of what is possible. Every day, people are watching you. They are watching to see if you will live up to the standards you have set. They are watching to see if you will practice what you preach. They are watching to see if ordinary people can really create extraordinary lives. Your life is not just about you anymore. Your success is not just for you anymore. Your strength is not just about you anymore. You are living proof that the lion mindset works. You are demonstrating that anyone can transform their life if they are willing to do what it takes. This is the ultimate responsibility of living like a lion. You become a beacon of hope for others who are still living like sheep. You become evidence that transformation is possible. You become a living example of what happens when someone refuses to settle for less than they deserve. So I am going to leave you with this final challenge. Stop waiting for permission to be great. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to start living like the lion you were born to be. Stop making excuses for why you cannot have the life you really want. The time is now. The person is you. The choice is yours. Will you continue living like a sheep, or will you finally claim your birthright as the king of your own kingdom? The lion inside you has been waiting long enough. It is time to set him free.